We should go ahead and get started. So, hi everybody, welcome. My name is Deb Evans and I am a fundraising coach here at Tailored, and co-leading today with me is another one of our awesome coaches, Drew Foote. And behind the scenes, we've got Brian Clemmer, and he's coming to us from Washington, the state of Washington. And then we've got Susie Berner, who's coming from California, managing the Q&A box. We're really excited to be with you today, and we're looking forward to this next hour where we're going to talk about how to create and how to implement your year-end strategy. And we're going to look at why it's important to do a year-end appeal, how to identify an area of impact, how to set a financial goal, how to create a layered strategy, and how to create a plan and a timeline. So some of you might be thinking, you know, this all sounds really, really helpful, but I'm going to need some help implementing my year-end strategy. And we want you to know that we are here for you. We're offering you a free one-on-one coaching session to learn more about how Tailored Fundraising can assist you with a year-end giving strategy. And we're going to put that link in the chat box at the end of the webinar. And throughout the webinar, we want to hear from you guys. At the top of your left screen, you should see a chat button. This is where you can put any comments that you want to share with us throughout the call, and where we're going to put comments and other information like giving links and things, not giving links, but links to things that will be helpful to resources that will be helpful for you. The other button that I want to draw your attention to is the Q&A button. If at any time you have a question, we want you to put it in the Q&A box, because if you put it in the chat, it can easily get lost. And Susie's going to monitor that, and she might answer some of your questions with a text, or she might ask the question live and we'll answer it live for you. And the great thing about this is that it is a live webinar and we can all learn from each other. So ask as many questions as you want. We're going to do our best to get to them either live or by text, but we will also stay on at the end if you've got more questions. We're also going to be giving you a couple of poll questions throughout the webinar because we want to get your feedback around your fundraising experience and what your goals are. Drew?
Yep, sorry, I was couldn't find the unmute button. So why do a year-end appeal at all? Fourth quarter of the year is a big time for people to give, and here are some quick stats for you. Nearly 1/3, 31% of all giving occurs in December, right? That's nuts. 12% of all giving happens in the last 3 days of the year. You know, some people plan to give a portion of a bonus, some give for tax purposes, and some give for charitable reasons because it's the season for giving. Not asking is still the #1 reason people don't give. Current givers and volunteers are the most likely to respond because they're already involved. This is an opportunity for people on your general mailing or emailing list to give. So here's a poll question for you. Have you ever sent a year-end appeal for your ministry? Yes or no? I'll give you just a couple seconds to smash that yes or smash that no button. Let us know. All right, survey says that 64% of you, which is 18, have sent out year-end appeals, but 10 of you have not. So we're really glad that you're here today.
Yeah, we're hoping that something that we share with you today will help you. Either if you've sent one out and learn a new tip, or if you haven't, that you'll get some good information. So when starting your year-end appeal, there's 4 components. The first component is to identify the impact of your year-end appeal. The primary goal of your year-end appeal is not to raise funds, but rather the primary goal is to accomplish something together with your partners that's going to make a difference in someone's life. That is so important. It's not about the number, but it's about what we can do together. You need to be appealing for something specific, something that you can commit to accomplish. How will raising these funds affect somebody else's life other than yours? Often when you find yourself in a bad financial situation, you ask the question, how much money do I need? But that's not the question you should be asking. The question you should ask is, how much money is needed to impact someone's life? Ideally, this is something that you're already committed to. When identifying the impact of an appeal, you want to ask yourself 2 very important questions. The first impact question is, what program, event, or resources do you provide, or are you planning to provide, that could use additional funding. For example, perhaps you want to start a weekly English club for refugees that's centered around the Bible. Or perhaps you're providing food or clothing and shelter for someone who's experienced a natural disaster. It could be offering free vaccines or renting an actual office space for medical care or for counseling. You could be holding a training or providing resources for church leaders. So you've come up with the program or the resources. Now what you want to ask is, what difference is this going to make in someone's life? So for example, with the English club, perhaps by attending the English club, refugees are going to feel empowered and not alone, coming to Christ through the Bible study and interaction with other believers. Or for disaster relief, the impact can be that families stay together in their community, that they feel loved, that they feel cared for, and that they experience Christ through his church. If you're training leaders, hopefully the impact will be that local churches are growing and they're becoming more confident in sharing their faith. These things are specific. And if you're having a hard time thinking of a specific impact, try this exercise. Assume that you're successful, and by December 31st, you've raised everything you need. Now you want to tell people how that made a difference, what you did with the money. So start there and let that generate the impact that you focus on in your appeal. Again, think, if I have all the money that I need, what would I be telling them about the results? So on that note, you might be tempted to focus your year-end campaign on getting out of a deficit. Many ministries are running a deficit at the end of the year, and it hurts, and it does need a solution. But even if your year-end campaign will help you get out of your deficit, getting out of a deficit can't be the impact for an appeal. It can get you out, but it's really not the best motivation for people to give. You want to go further and ask, how would this ministry being adequately funded make an impact in someone's life? And then use that impact for the year-end appeal. Again, it's about what we can accomplish together. Susie, do we have any questions in the Q&A box?
I just answered one personally, but
Okay.
We're still waiting for questions. So please put them in the box.
Okay. All right. Well, we'll move on then.
Susie, you're so excited to answer questions. I love it. The first component of your plan, like Deb just said, for your end appeal is to identify an impact. Now, the second component is to set a financial goal. Okay. It needs to be directly related to your impact. Your goal needs to include the total cost of impact. Don't just think about direct cost. When setting a financial goal, you should land on something achievable. Be intentional and think about your donor base and their capacity. Why is it important to consider capacity? Because it varies from partner to partner. You also want to consider generosity. If you have people who are generous, you want to challenge them to something generous, but again, achievable. One of the biggest benefits of a year-end appeal is accomplishing something together. You're creating a moment where everyone comes together and achieves something.
Mm-hmm.
Drew, I have two questions I want to pull out really quickly. Can I interrupt for a second?
Let's go.
Okay. Jennifer asked this question: can finally reaching the field or having the opportunity to get to the field be an impact? How would you guys answer that?
I would answer that. Deb, actually, I'm going to let you go first if you want to.
No, you can go first.
Okay.
I have an answer too, but you can go first.
Okay. Personally, no. I don't think that that's a very compelling impact because it's very me focused. It's focused on how it's going to impact me. You want to be focused on impact on other people. So like, what's at the center of getting to the field? Well, it's me getting to the field. Versus what does getting to the field, how is that going to make an impact on the people there on the field? It's the field that we need to make an impact on, that you want to communicate to those people, to your givers, to your potential partner.
Totally agree.
Okay, let me give the second question. This is from Alan. I'm currently raising all the funds from my ministry with the goal of being completed by the end of December. Is it weird to do an additional year-end ask on top of that? Or should that be the year-end ask? My answer to that, I'll just jump in as a coach, is I think you want to make your asks simple and one basic ask. That would be your goal. You don't want to double ask your partners because it confuses them. Make one simple ask.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Okay, good. You also want to build your donor base before you start asking for a year-end appeal. Okay. All right, so let's move on. So the next part of a year-end appeal is creating a layered strategy. So one touch is not enough. 59% of all nonprofits make between 1 and 3 donor touches for their year-end campaign. So I want to talk more about what those touches could be. So first, there could be a warm-up. And basically, this is a communication where you thank them for their partnership and when you remind them of what the ministry does. The next touch could be the strong ask. This is a very specific ask about a goal and an impact with a very solid ask amount, very specific solid ask amount. The third touch could be a reminder. This is the shortest one of all. All you want to do is just highlight some of the language from the ask and then have another touch to remind them to give now. And some of my clients have even used a countdown timer here for this, for visual effect and to create urgency. You want to make a very specific ask, even if it's this one ask to every person. The reason for this is that a successful year-end appeal is less about convincing people and making it more about being easy for people to give. So when you make it personalized as a reader, it feels more like a conversation and not an announcement because it's individualized. And we've found that segmenting is a very powerful tool when it's linked with a specific ask. So we want you to segment based on capacity, and it could be as simple as just 2 segments. You could have major donors, and then you could have another level of donors. So let's talk about major donors. These are people that you need to write a very personalized letter to and possibly even make a follow-up phone call. These are people who would be giving $500 or more for the year-end appeal. It could be $1,000. It just depends on you, and it depends on your ministry and on the people that you're going to be talking to in your donor base. Often people think of major donors as giving just once a year, but it could be people who have already given or people who are consistently giving monthly. These people are very inclined to give. So you might be thinking, you know what, they already gave, and so they won't be able to give again or they won't give again. Actually, the opposite is true. People who have given are more likely to give because they want to see the ministry continue and they want to see it succeed. So they believe in it and it speaks to their heart. So it's up to you who a major donor is, but this is usually a one-on-one ask, whether you're sitting down with them or like if you're overseas, it could be over the phone or over Skype. It's personal and it's worth your investment of time. We've also found that a matching gift works really well for a year-end appeal. So you might be able to ask your major donors or a major donor to provide something like a matching gift for the campaign. It can be really motivating to know that my $100 contribution is going to be a $200 gift. It can also actually be motivating for the major donor too if you ask them to be on a team with other major donors. My clients have done this and invited anywhere from 3 to 7 major donors to be what they called lead partners in this initiative. One of them actually asked 7 people to give $5,000 each, and 5 of those people actually committed. So he started with $25,000 right off the bat, which was amazing. As lead partners, it encouraged the generosity of other people. We also have a great resource for you if you need advice on how to make an ask. We've got a short ebook. And Susie, do you mind putting this link in the chat? It's generous.tailoredfundraising.com. And we'd love for you to be able to download that book. It actually has 5 of the best asks in it. So we've talked about major donors. Another level can be mid-level donors. And this level would include more specific asks to donors than just our highest level people. Again, this could be a team of people. That same client who asked for those lead partners actually came and asked 13 other people to be strategic partners, and he challenged each of them to $1,000. So you might not have time to sit down with each of them, but you should be able to do a phone call or send them something personal. The final level could just be everybody else on your donor list, as well as everybody on your contact list that's never given before. They should receive a general letter. No need to personalize it with this group, but still make a specific ask. So I would recommend that you set your financial goal after you've segmented your list and contacted your major donors, if that's what you're going to, or mid-level donors, especially if you're doing a matching campaign, because that sets the goal for people to be generous. So we want to ask another poll question. What communication channel are you most likely to use in your year-end campaign? And you can choose more than one answer. There's social media, email, direct mail, phone calls, and face-to-face asks. So which channel or channels are you most likely to use in your year-end campaign? So go ahead and take a minute or so to answer, not a minute, just a second. All it does is take a second to check those boxes, and then Brian's gonna throw those results up there. Okay, email. I knew email was gonna be the number one. So email, number one, followed by hard copy, direct mail. Then we've got social media, phone calls, and asks face-to-face, pretty much neck and neck there. But yeah, it doesn't surprise me that that most people do email.
Very, very interesting.
Mm-hmm.
Another part of creating a layered strategy is to think through tools and channels. So what you need to create to communicate the focus of the year-end appeal is, and how you will communicate via snail mail, email, phone, and social media. So let's take one by one. Snail mail. All right, take some time to write a personal note at the bottom of some of the mid-level donor letters. Anytime you can create a personal touch, take the time to do it. You might also consider handwriting the address and choosing a colored envelope. The more unique and personal it is, the greater chance it will be opened, and use an actual stamp if possible. This is not a time where you want to send this as bulk mail, for sure. Okay, phone calls. So follow-up phone calls can be very effective at getting people to respond to your year-end appeal. You can use apps like SlideDial that will also allow you to directly leave a voicemail at the same time you call, and SlideDial will directly send it to voicemail so it doesn't actually ring. If you're going to make a lot of calls and you don't have time to talk to everyone, create a voicemail script like, "Hey, I hope you got my latest email. We want to raise $10,000 so we can offer free vaccines to those in need. Thank you for considering this. If you'd like to make a difference in a child's life, click the link in the email to give." And then email, right? The big one. So here's a couple tools. Using MailChimp or some other email application, you can set up a drip campaign that sends out multiple emails at a predetermined time. So you don't have to go back in and personally send out those emails one at a time, because that can be really time consuming, and MailChimp can do it for you. Most people, like we saw earlier, use email, but there's the MailChimp for email, but one is called polymail.io. Shows that also gets good open and response rates, and we'll add that to the chat, Susie, polymail.io, so you can take a look at that.
And didn't, who was it this morning? What was what was Abe recommending this morning? Do you remember?
MailerLite, MailerLite.com. MailerLite.
Yeah,
Not
so
to be
you can
confused with the drink.
Yeah, MailerLite.
And we recommend, remember those multiple touches, right? Setting it up where the first email goes out, then a week later, a second follow-up shorter email goes out, then a third email goes out. You can set in those programs, you can set it up where it'll send out. You can all set it up at the very beginning, so it automatically sends those out for you. We would definitely recommend doing that. And then lastly, social media. There was a couple of you guys that talked about that had chosen social media. So we recommend using social media, but only in a supplemental way. So even organizations that use social media effectively to raise funds have invested in establishing the relationship and a giving behavior of giving through social media. So this is not something you want to just out of the blue blast out to everybody, because it can kind of be a little abrasive or not well received. Because social media can be good when you have very specific, highly urgent need that's not a deficit. So say you're raising funds for a specific family or a specific group of children. This is one way that you can use social media really effectively to do something very, very specific. Include giving links and short 1 or 2 sentence powerful stories and pictures if appropriate. All right.
I have 2 questions.
Go for it.
Can I interject? Okay, so
Yeah.
the first question from Andy is, how do you determine a donor's capacity? You guys want to take that?
Great question. You can look at lifestyle, the kinds of, what profession they might be, but it's also not just about people's capacity all the time. Like if you think they might be white collar, they might be able to give more. It's also people who are generous. Like, what do you know about their lifestyle in terms of their giving? What kinds of things are they passionate about giving? So it could be both what you've observed of their lifestyle and observed of their giving habits. What do you guys think?
No, I think that's, I don't have anything to add to that. That's perfect.
Yeah. So the second question I just want to throw in here, I thought this was a good one. This is from Jim. Do you ever recommend sending a small gift as part of a year campaign or as part of your overall strategy? I have a friend that does this in the fall each year to his donors. So I'm going to answer this because as a coach, sometimes I'll partner with some of the missionaries I coach. And quite often I'll receive a gift, not because I partner, but just during the course of their ministry. And I keep them on my desk because it means so much to me that 1, they would think of my husband and I, and 2, that they would take that extra time and effort to send something to remind me to pray for their country.
Mm-hmm. But Susie, would you recommend them doing it with the year-end campaign though, or separately as like a separate, hey, I'm thinking about you?
I would make it definite separate so it stands apart.
Mm-hmm. Me too. Good question.
Mm-hmm.
And it is really important. I have them too. It really does. When you get a note from somebody from the field, it's like almost like, I don't know if you've been in Asia or not, but people like the kids are like coming up to you and asking for your autograph. It's kind of like that. Like you feel like the missionary took time out of their busy schedule to think about me personally. So when I get a note or a gift, it does mean the world to me. And it does make me want to pray for them and be more deeply invested in the ministry, for sure. All right, we also want to talk about giving links. Okay, so this is a big one, you guys. We want you to put the links to the page where your actual giving page is. So go all the way through the steps of what it takes to give. So they click the link on your organization, click through all those links, and then copy that URL, that landing page where they're going to land, copy that and either make a QR code out of it or put it as a link in the email or social media to their giving page. We don't want them to have to click to be able to get there. So that's a really important tip if you're going to include a link or a QR code. We also want to establish a timeline. And what we encourage you to do is to work backwards. So you're going to want to choose a date or a week to send your year-end appeal. So that's based on when do you want people to receive your letter. So you might want to consider hitting people's inboxes or mailboxes on the Tuesday after Thanksgiving, which is known as Giving Tuesday. So if that's the case, think about it. It might take a week or so to segment your list, another week to write the phone call scripts and the letters to major donors and to call each one of those, one more week to write proof and print the letter that's going to go to everybody else and write those personal notes on the bottom of them, and yet another week to gather addresses, to handwrite those envelopes and to get them sent. So it could take 4 weeks of planning and preparation. So if you want your letters to arrive around Thanksgiving, you need to start working on your year-end appeal in October. The next thing to do is to choose a date for people to respond. So this is going to create urgency, and urgency is huge. The problem needs to be solved right now. So the most common date is December 31st, because that's when it's the end of the fiscal year. And it's actually when most people give. But some of you may have a deadline that's sooner than that, and that's okay. It just needs to be communicated. Make sure that people know exactly when you need it by. Then you want to choose a date to send a thank you note or to make calls to tell people how their giving is making a difference or will make a difference. So even if your impact is something that may not happen until next spring, you still want to follow up right away saying, because of your gift, here's the impact that's going to happen. And as soon as you get a gift, you want to send a thank you note. Don't just leave them hanging. Thank them for what you're accomplishing together. Always go back to impact. If you don't communicate, thank you. If you don't communicate right away, you are communicating something. What you're communicating is that you just wanted their money. If new donors receive a phone call from you within 48 hours, their second gift is likely to be 50% more than their first gift. So follow-up is super important. It's critical. It's essential. So when you identify impact, set a financial goal, create a layered strategy, and establish a timeline, you're going to be well on your way to having a successful year-end appeal.
Nice. Do we have any other questions before moving on? Through here. All right, we've got several questions here in the Q&A. Susie, did you want to take any of these?
I'm confused.
Sorry. Go ahead. Quick question is, what would you recommend about setting up a GoFundMe.com? Drew, you want to take that one?
Sure. Yeah, GoFundMes are really great for special projects. They're a really great way to, a lot of people think that GoFundMes are going to do a lot of your marketing for you, and that if I set up a GoFundMe, people are magically going to start giving. But it's just another alternative to your organization if they have a giving page already set up for you. So if you don't have a way for people, if you don't have like a landing page for people to land on to give directly, then a GoFundMe is a really great alternative. But if your organization already has a place for them to give to the specific project, that's just as good. There's nothing special about GoFundMe as far as like marketing goes. It's just another alternative for a landing page. So if you have like something really specific, so say there is an orphanage that is underfunded and they're about to close their doors, but they need, $10,000 to be able to keep the doors open, and you're trying to raise that $10,000. If your organization doesn't have a specific landing page that people can give directly to that, you could set up a GoFundMe as an alternative to that, so that people can give directly to that. You can create messaging and put a video on there for people to go to as a landing page. But other than that, there's not really anything special about GoFundMe. It's not automatically going to raise the funds for you.
Yeah, you have to do the work still, and creating that layered strategy. If they just see that one GoFundMe, it will not be as effective because you haven't told stories. You haven't given you haven't put the time and effort in. I think you'll be much more successful as long as it creates a layered strategy with that and tells stories. I agree with Drew. It's just a landing page. You've got to do more work.
I have one other question. Let me throw it in. This is from Susie. Is it recommended to offer 2 special projects within a year-end giving campaign, or best not to do that?
Well, you want to make it as simple as possible for people to be able to give. So giving them too many options sometimes is too much. So if you are going to do 2 campaigns, make sure they're I would say if you're going to do 2 campaigns, make sure they're at least 6 months apart. I wouldn't do them together for sure, because you want them to only have one option. But yeah, I don't see anything wrong with that, especially if they really are special project, special need. You may appeal to one donor base with one, and if you're going to send it to both, but you may find that some people resonate with the first one and some people resonate with the second one. And that's my feedback. What do you guys think?
I agree. I'm coaching a couple right now, and they have 2 special events. They're in Chile, 2 special events that they want to do. And initially, we wrote up their year-end appeal letter with each of those events, and then we thought about it. I thought, no, let's split them up and do 2 separate letters and do 6 months apart.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there's a lot of really great comments in here. Becky Dwinnell, not sure if that's a middle initial or not, said that if the donor has children, she'll write the child a little note, which I think is really, really, that is a professional way to make it feel very personal. And so that's really good.
We actually had one of Jenny's clients who had their children actually write on the envelopes, so that, they drew little pictures and things like that. The more unique, like I said, the more personalized and unique your even your envelope, the more high chance that it'll be opened. But yeah, I love that idea of having the child do that. What are some good little gifts? I had some people in Australia, and they went and got like little boomerangs that they could give. They got little puppets. What else did they do? Some people give spices, like if you're in Hungary, for example, sending even just a little bit of Hungarian paprika with a recipe. I got that from somebody, and that was really fun because they know that I'm a foodie, and so that was fun for me. What are some things that you've gotten, Susie?
An answer back to someone. I think one of the most unique, my husband and I've gotten a lot of ornaments. So we put those on a Christmas tree for each country. We love those. I just recently got a shopping bag from Prague from a couple I coached, and it just has in the Czech Republic language, Prague, and then a thank you note. And I love that. I use that as my little grocery bag now, and it probably cost them, I don't know, $1 or something. I don't know what it was, but that was really cool.
Mm-hmm. I like tea. I got tea one time. That was really good.
Mm-hmm.
Bag.
We got little frames in Thailand. They were little silk frames, and they were so inexpensive. They also had some really cool stationery. It was like the pencils were looked like they were carved wood, and the paper was really cool and different. So even little stationery is great too.
Yeah, if you guys have ideas for gifts that you've sent in the past, we'd love for you guys to put those in the chat.
It depends. When you say, Alan has a question about, do you have a recommended way of thanking people? For instance, a phone call first. It depends on what your time is. Like if you have 100 people that you need to thank, I might select people that I want to call and then, give thank you notes to others. But yeah, calling's always a good idea. If you have time to call, absolutely call first. Otherwise, just a personal handwritten note. Not typing an email, a personal handwritten note is how you want to thank people. Or Skype them. Skype's great too.
Yeah. Ooh, this is cool. We've got a couple people that are answering. So for gifts, like Susie Olson lives in Ecuador, and they have gift table runners with fall colors on them. Jennifer sent children little wooden shoe magnets.
Cool.
Susie also did nativity gifts like chocolates from Russia, spoons from Russia. Let me see, who is this? Yuri said coffee, bookmarks, keychains from Mexico. So there's lots of little gifts. Think about what's special to your area, what's something that's can be small and easily shipped or mailed, but can be really personal to each person. And sometimes what you can do is you can think about your donors, think about your partners, and think about what they're interested in. And that can also help you understand, know what kind of gift to get. Yeah, great stuff. Great stuff. Okay, we've still got a lot of questions coming in. If you have questions, keep putting them in the Q&A. We're going to handle a couple more for a little bit.
I love Becky's. Could you ask for your year-end appeal? Could you ask for a new computer for your ministry? Absolutely. What's the impact of that computer? What is that computer going to allow God to do in the lives of people? How is that computer going to change people's lives?
Yeah, that's it.
I've got one more, and I think this is a good one from Rachel. Hi, Rachel. These strategies seem to be based on raising funds for the organization as a whole. How does this change when you're looking to increase your monthly personal support with a yay letter? I think that's a really good question. So I don't know, Drew, Deb, you want to answer that first?
Sure. Yeah. I definitely think you can do to raise for your personal funding, but I think it's all the same thing, right? So it's your personal funding isn't, hey, this is going to pay my salary. Again, you're raising funds so that, I don't know what your area of service is, but so that people can receive life-changing medical care.
Yeah.
You're not going to Africa to just like go to Africa. You're going there for a specific person, specific purpose, and a specific mission. So I think it's all the same thing. You're raising funds for impact, not to cover your own salary and your housing.
Yeah, it's just like the laptop. You are the laptop. You know, if you put it that, you know, A is for B and B is for C, just like the money is to pay for bills and pay for this and pay for this. You have to pay all those things so you can live there and make that impact. So if A is for B and B is for C, therefore A is also for C. A little nerdy to think of it that way, but if you think of yourself as a tool, you know, you're a tool in a good way. Not like you're a tool, but, you know, you're a tool being used. And so that tool comes with expenses, but the tool is for making an impact, like Deb said.
Jen's got a question about, can you suggest monthly or annual giving, or is this only for special gifts? Well, particularly if you're raising, if you're raising for the first time, the primary ask should be for, the primary ask happens as a monthly, as a one-on-one in person. I think that the year-end appeal is kind of a jumping point for you to ask for a second gift, perhaps later, that is specifically for a monthly. So I would say build your donor base, one-on-one individual asks for people for monthly or annual, and use the year-end campaign for special gifts, and to create a jumping point where a few months down the road, you can make a second ask that's for monthly or annual giving. What do you guys think?
Sorry, I was typing. Could you say that again?
Oh, I was saying that I think that monthly and annual asks actually are personal, one-on-one, not with a campaign. I think that the campaign is something that could be a jumping off point for them, a first way to make contact if they give a special gift. And really, honestly, I hate using the word one time, because we don't want gifts to be one time. We want them to be continued and annual. So it's almost like using special gift or something like that. And then a few months later, you can jump that off that and ask for a monthly or an annual gift.
Yeah, I think the focus is, if you're raising monthly support or partnership, you want to build the strongest relationship to have people come on board. Your year-end appeal, to me, is almost like icing on the cake. It's the funding that's either going to launch a special project for the next year, or to strengthen and expand the ministry.
You guys ever give books as gifts?
I know people who do, yeah.
Yeah. I think books are really good for like major donors, you know, because it's kind of hard if you have 100 different donors to buy a book for 100 different people. But if you have,
go ahead.
No, you go.
I was going to say, and think about too, how many of these people are going to read them?
Yeah. And I like to think of gift giving. Think about how the other person's, like, we're giving gifts for them, not for us, right? Which I'm not saying buying a book for someone is necessarily doing that. But sometimes when I feel like I buy a book for someone, it's because I want them to read it, you know? And it's like, I don't know. It's like, do they really want to read this book? Or will they see it as I want them to read this book, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, man, you guys are pumping out some gift ideas. I love it.
Mm-hmm.
Look at there.
Okay, so this was a question. It ties in because some people may be doing a year-end appeal with follow-up from a country. So the question was, can you talk about the value of raising funds from the field? This leads to pointers on Skype or phone call appointments. So I do think raising funds from the field can be very effective. One of the things I've seen with my clients is that you want to take that same idea of segmenting your list and prioritizing it, getting phone or WhatsApp phone numbers so that you can follow up. Sometimes it takes a little longer with what I call multiple connection points. You have to be a little bit like a woodpecker, just check, continuing to reach out to people, but it can be very effective because put yourself in the shoes of someone here in America or in Canada, and you get a personal text or a WhatsApp. I just has happened with my neighbor, a WhatsApp message. She was in Trinidad. And it was so exciting to get that message from someone overseas. It was really special. It set any of those other text messages I got that day apart. So looking at it from the field, just remember your people back in your home country will be excited and honored to get a message from you if you have that relationship with them.
Okay, I want to answer Jen's question, but I have a client who actually did a very effective one-day campaign for books for a classroom in chat. But he was talking about now that they've completed their school, we need to provide the books so that children can learn to read and write in their own language. He talks about how we're seeing how education changes everything. And that's what you want to be focused on and tell a story. Like for example, if you're in a classroom, you want to talk about the difference of what difference can be made through education. So he starts the day by talking about this little girl who's, she's different than other 13-year-old girls. I'll just literally read you what he wrote because I think it's brilliant. He's got that this girl is different than other 13-year-old girls. She isn't thinking about marriage. Instead of worried about who's going to be her husband, she's worried about her test scores, filling her mind with knowledge. This is unheard of in this part of the desert. At this age, girls are expected to be married and begin bearing children. And the social pressure is real. In a land where sources of income are scarce, it's often hard for a father to say no to a bride price. Marriage is seen as more of a transaction. But no matter the sacrifice for their family or the social stigma, her parents are committed to her education and success in the classroom. And the ask is, how many books will you provide today? And they actually did a matching challenge as well. And I love, our goal is to reach 200 books today to reach the full value of this $10,000 matching gift. And with your faithful partnership, we can do it. So how many books will you provide today? Hit the button, provide, the button is provide books. It isn't give a donation, it's provide books. And I love that when they use this matching campaign, he's like, double your impact for students today. And on the landing page, he's got a $50 pledge doubles to $100 with the matching challenge, or $100 becomes $200 with the match. And this is my favorite one. $250 makes a $500 impact. And these are the things that I love because I want to hit that button so that my impact can be maximized. I don't know if that helps. Jen, is that what you were asking? Hopefully. And anybody else want to take a stab at it?
I'm not sure how I can do better than that.
No, isn't that great? He has several of them. And the last one, so he sent out multiple stories throughout the day. So that's like creating that layered strategy. And at the end, he had, time is running out, but there's still time to make a difference in a child's life. And he actually, what he did was motion mail, but what I've had some of my clients do is go to countdownmail.com, I believe is it. And when you go there, you can create a countdown timer, and you can actually, it interfaces with MailChimp. And so you can include that in your second to last email. So what I would do is say, like, there's still time's running out, but you can still make a difference in a child's life. Put that in there. And then the last email is the thank you. The last email is, this is what God just did.
Wow.
Thank you for your partnership. So yeah, I love year-end appeals. I think they're great. So much creativity that can happen.
Well, I think this is perfect time because a lot we went over today, talking about layered strategy, talking about how to break it down, verbiage, and you may be like Jennifer, and be like, man, I don't know how to word this stuff. I need some help. Well, that's perfect. You come to Tailored Fundraising because you can sign up. We'd like to offer you a free one-on-one coaching session to learn more about how tailored fundraising can assist you with your year-end giving. So Susie's going to put the link in the chat box. So please go ahead and click that link. And, it's totally free, one-on-one. You're not going to be in a group of, 50 people. You're going to be, I think you do it with Susie, right? It's going to be with you, isn't it? Yeah, you'll be meeting with Susie for a free coaching session, free 30-minute coaching session. And so don't hesitate. Click that link. We also have an ebook that you can download. Some of you guys have already posted the link to that. We'll post it again. That has the 5 best asks in it. So we're going to add that to the chat. It's generous.tailoredfundraising.com. So there's resources there for you guys, totally free resources. We want you guys to be successful. We want you guys to be out there in the field, working hard, making an impact, because we believe in what you guys are doing, whether you're in Germany, whether you're in Africa, whether you're in working, whatever organization you're with, we believe in what you guys are doing and the impact that you're making. And so we want to be a part of that with you by giving you resources and coming alongside you. So, all right, let's take a moment. Let's reflect on what we've experienced today. So we've covered a lot of details. What's something in the webinar from today that's been helpful for you? What's something specific? Throw that in the chat, and we're going to read a couple of them. We'd love to see what you guys found really helpful. So I'm going to give you, go ahead. Oh, I'm so sorry. I guess the book is not free. That is my bad. That's a miss. It is $5. So
The free coaching session is free.
that's it. That's it. Sorry. Okay, so Susan said, thank you within 48 hours. Links to the mail links. Let's see here. Brooke Cheeley said, specific direction for layered strategy step-by-step is very helpful.
And Charlotte put in the chat box, I'm sorry, not in the chat box, in the Q&A, following up with a phone call and thank you within 48 hours of a donation. Excellent. Glad that's what you got out of it. Very important.
Yo, my man Chuck Leash in the chat. Gift ideas among the group was good. Call, text from the field. Me and Chuck actually worked last year on his year-end appeal. I thought it went very, very successful. It was really exciting. It's good to see you back, man.
I love that we're all learning from each other. I love the gift ideas and everybody's participating. That's what makes a really good webinar and a good learning experience. So thank you guys for putting your input in there.
Segmenting. Becky said one touch. She also said 48-hour thank yous. Mm-hmm. Yeah, several people put 48-hour thank yous. That's really good.
Yep, and verbiage is crucial. Mm-hmm. Do you want to support somebody or do you want to make a difference in somebody's life? So even those buttons, make sure they're not give or contribute. Put the actual impact on the button. That's what I want to hit.
I know Mike and Chantel asked, are we recording the webinar? Is that available? And it isn't, is it? Yeah.
We can send the slides.
The slides we can send.
We can send you the slides. Mm-hmm. So who needs those? Mike?
Mike and Chantel Smith.
Do we have their email? I'm assuming we have their email. And then also Thomas Franks. If you guys can put your email addresses in, we can make sure that happens. Oh, so yeah, so Jenny has Mike and Chantel's. So Jenny's got that. Yeah. Actually, I think I know them. Are they with Jem? I think they're with Jem when Jenny and I went out there. That's been a long time ago.
Yeah, they should be sending the slides out to everyone. I think that's in the follow-up.
Is it? Okay, I didn't know that. Okay, uca.org.
Okay. It has been wonderful to be with you guys today. I hope you're walking away with some valuable tips on how to better connect with current and future partners. And we just want to say thank you so much for joining us, and have a great day, everyone. Take care. We'll stay on for a couple more minutes if anyone has any questions, but that will be it for today. If you guys have more questions, just throw them up in the Q&A.